for child protection agencies. And quite often, and for people without the experience, it is not clear about when and how child protection agencies become involved in domestic abuse family cases. In our previous programs, we have dealt with domestic violence with respect to adults. That's from adult to adult. But now our focus is on the children. I would like to welcome this morning our guests to the studio. I have here Miss Elizabeth van der Meer. Please say hello to our listeners.
Hello.
Get closer to the microphone, please.
This one?
Yeah.
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Yeah. All right. And also next to her is another colleague, Ria Brau. Welcome, Ria. Oh, is it Brav? Yes. Oh, sorry.
Good morning, my name is Ria Brau.
Yes. Now, I would like you to just briefly say a little about yourself, the work you do, so our listeners can know who they are listening to.
Yeah. My name is Ria, as I told you, and I'm working at Spirit, the jeugdhulpverlening in Amsterdam Zuidoost. Before I was working in Amsterdam Zuidoost. My office was in Amsterdam Zuid, and since 2003 we moved to Amsterdam Southeast, where I was living at the time. And my work is to help parents with the children who can stay in their own family.
Really?
So we have to put them in another place, like a family or friends,
Yes.
and that they call pleegzorg.
Okay.
But before we help them to take place in another family, we have to organize a lot with the government. And to organize all those things is a matter of, it depends of what the problem is
Yes.
in their own
Okay.
family.
We will get a bit into that, but I'm happy you're here. Elizabeth, you want to say a little bit about yourself and what the work you do?
Okay, I will be short. I'm a manager in the same organization as Ria. It's called Spirit. It's an organization for youth and education help. It exists for a very, very, very long time.
Okay.
And I do all kinds of projects also.
Well, welcome to the show this morning.
Sure.
Well, listeners, we invite you to interact with us as we proceed. And as usual, the studio line is 0207371619. Well, I was going to pick on something you said earlier, but hopefully it's going to come back. I just skipped my mind. Well, can you tell us how children can be victimized directly or indirectly when there's violence in the home? How do they become victims when there's violence in the home? Either it's directly on them or among their parents. How do they become affected? Can you tell us?
Both of the things you are telling us.
Touch on
Both sides, because when there is a violence between the parents and the child is between it, it's also not a safe environment for the children. So that we call it also abuse, because the child doesn't feel safe. That's one part. The other part is, of course, when parents or family hits the children or have very hard punishments, you know. That's
Punishments.
also punishments. Yes, sorry, punishments. Then it's also child abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So both sides. Yeah.
Okay. Well, on the question of punishment, that is a very sensitive topic, because
I know.
based on cultural backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds, these things vary. People's understanding of how to raise up children vary. So maybe we'll touch on that some more. Okay. Now, for the sake of getting clarity to the topic we are speaking about, which circumstances can we classify as violence in the home or as violence affecting the children? What are the things you can refer to and say, oh, this and that and that and that is violence against the child, or something that we can consider as violence that is not good for the development of the child?
You like to know very concrete?
Yes.
Okay. I think that a child needs a security environment, that he feels safe.
Yes.
And each situation is different.
I need you
So
to
I
get closer
can't-
to microphone because your signals are not so weak, too strong. Draw maybe both
Yes.
microphones, so I don't know which one is. Okay, good. Yes. Go ahead.
So that's a difficult question because I think each situation is different. The most important thing is that the child has to be have a feeling safe in the situation in which he or she is.
Yes.
And that can be different because the cultural background, like you told us, that's of course a part of it. So sometimes when the child is used to some kind of situation, then you have to consider that too. So it's difficult, I think, to really concrete the situation. So you have to do research.
Well, let's say, let me just cut it. Let's say I have 2 kids in my home, and then for some reason you feel like you as a child protection agency or child worker, you feel like intervening because you see the way my child is behaving, or you hear something and you want to intervene. What would make you want to come into my home to look at how I'm treating my children?
Yes.
I believe you can concretely tell us what are some of the things which, when you see, gives you an indication that maybe all is well, not well in my home. Those are the things we want to know because our goal is to let people know what is allowed and what is not allowed, so they can be aware and know how to handle their kids in a better way.
Yes.
One of the finding places is the school, of course.
Yes.
Because there the teachers see the children. And when the children are behaving like not, a little bit, not a little bit insecure or something like that, or they don't have things to eat to bring up to school or things to drink or something like that, then they started to talk. And when the teacher or the social worker at school thinks, well, there is something wrong with the child, then they ask for a visit at their homes to talk with the parents first, of course.
Okay.
Or they invited the parents to the school because they have worries about the children.
Yeah.
And so on, so on, so on. And when they are not satisfied with all the answers or they are not feeling right about the situation, then they ask us, for example, to do a research in the families.
Okay.
And then we are talking with everybody in the homes.
So does the teacher just have to spot one day, let's say the child is not in a good mood, the child is not feeling well, does that immediately trigger your getting involved in the family situation, or you got to watch it over some time, and if it's over some time, how long?
For sometimes,
Yeah,
and really
sometimes.
big things,
Like what?
And can I take it over for
Please, go ahead.
In school they have a schoolmaatschappelijk werkster,
Yeah.
a social worker in school,
Yeah.
and they are working together.
Yes.
And sometimes the GGD, so for the schooldokter, for an example, they all work together.
Yeah.
And then they have a meeting about this child when they see that everything is not go zoals het hoort te gaan. So they have a meeting and they talk to the parents, and apart from that they talk to family sometimes, or sometimes the children, they talk about things what
Happen in their home.
juist. And it's not that from the one day to the other they are going to bring the families involved. No, before the families come involved, there is a meeting in school. Like I told you, a schoolmaatschappelijk werkster, the teacher, the children, and then. But you ask something. Can you ask again?
Yeah, about the behavior of the
Yeah.
what kind of behavior they
What are
show.
some of the things that immediately
Yeah.
trigger your decision to do a research or to get involved in what's going on in the child's life?
Yeah.
Well, there are signs, for example, when a child is studying at school that, last night, 2 o'clock in the night, I was playing, somewhere, but not in the house, Or, I look a movie and it was very, about sex or things like that. All kind of, because children, they are telling a lot.
Yes.
And in the way they tell it, because it's not so bad, but the way they're telling it, that feels for the social workers, hey, there is something I have to ask more.
Yeah.
So that's the
Okay.
start of to do investigations.
And it can be very different. Sometimes the children, they are very tired in school, or
They fall asleep.
they fall asleep, or they
Yes.
don't look like, zeg maar, ze zijn niet netjes gekleed,
Not clean, not
Yes.
tidy.
or the hair,
Yes.
or something like that.
Oh, that is.
Dan gaan ze erover praten
Yeah.
op school.
That's what I hear.
And a lot of times also they tell us, well, there are a lot of people in my house, but I don't know them.
Oh.
A lot of men who are coming in the house with my mother.
Yes.
I don't know them.
So how do you
Yes.
get it?
Then-
They tell their friends?
No.
Yes.
That they are
Or even the
friends.
teacher asks them what's really going on in their house,
No.
in their home.
There are a lot of, so you know that children, they like to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they tell their friends. And the friends go and tell another friend. So the teacher
Eventually gets
Go here.
precies
We'll hear it, you know.
will hear it. And for an example, I had a girl in my caseload, in my group.
Yeah.
And that one was in school, in the same class of the teacher who becomes her foster parent. So the teacher,
Wow.
it was very difficult for her, because that girl, she was doing very well in school, but there were a lot of small problems. So she had a meeting with this girl and her friends. So they talked about the problems, and after that things came out, and maybe 6 months later she was the foster parent of this girl until she was 18 years old.
So how did you take up
Wow.
this matter with the parents of the girl? And what was the girl's circumstances? Was she living with her own parents
She was
or with
living
adopted
with her uncle.
uncle?
Then tell
And
us.
her aunt, and the aunt was, for the 7 days in the week, she was maybe 3 days in the house. Sometimes she don't see her for 2 weeks, and this aunt was out of the country because of her sick son, something in another country, and this girl was very sad, and she didn't do it better than before in school,
True.
and that's why things go,
That way.
yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of things. Neglect, I've noticed neglect. Let's say violence at home. Sometimes maybe when they watch violent movies or sexual movies and they feel insecure, these are some of the things you notice about a child, which gets your attention and you want to do something about it. Am I correct? Because I wanted to know some of the things which you classify as violence to the child, and for which reason you are compelled to want to look into the matter and to do a research and to decide what to do with the child. So I've just listed some of the things that I picked up from what you have been saying so far.
Yeah.
Is that all? Are these
No,
all?
there's a lot more.
Yeah.
There's a lot more.
Yeah. So you mentioned what you can remember. So we have a good idea of these things. Because for me as a parent, I may think something is normal because
Yes.
that is the way we are at home.
Yeah.
Huh? But in the eyes of the school authorities, it's abuse.
Yeah,
So
because,
then,
you know, when
I need to know which are the things which constitute abuse to the child. If I become aware of it, maybe I may change my
Yes, and
way
change the
of
migrant
handling the
community.
child. But if
Exactly.
you don't tell me, I may not know.
Yes.
You see, because I want the best for my child as well.
in the beginning you tell us also the difference in education in the different cultures.
Yes.
And in other cultures you have other punishments than we have here
Yes.
normally, because beating a child, it's every culture.
Yeah.
Also in the Dutch culture people do.
Yeah.
But a few years ago they forbid to hit the children. So what's happening? We do also a project for that kind of children too, who are growing up into cultures. But that's another thing. So we try to talk with the parents how it is for us and in Holland and what kind of punishments you have. And we try not to say you don't have to hit your children, but does it help? What helps? You know, what do you want that your children are doing or not doing? And then what's the best thing to educate them? And but that in our culture here, yeah, when you really beat up a child, it's also
A problem.
violence. So that's one of those things.
Yeah.
Or neglecting, but you told us before. But all kinds of things on that area. We can.
Yeah, go
To
ahead.
give an example, there are different ways to abuse a child. Je hebt geestelijke mishandeling en je hebt lichamelijke mishandeling.
Body.
Physical and
Emotional
psychological. Yeah.
And if you put them together, it will make a child very insecure, very insecure. And sometimes in school, you can see, even if a child will tell you a lot what goes wrong in the house, you can see it at his skin, for example.
Yeah.
You know, when they get punishment, zeg maar, with beating or something like that. But there are a lot of examples to give, so you can qualify at abuse.
Yes.
You know, but oh, it is so fair. It is
Yeah,
really,
and the what you have not done for me is
Yes,
told
true.
me much for me to know what are the things.
Yes.
But let's go on with the program. Maybe you might remember some other things. And then
So
you
maybe I can tell you something because it may be something new. In a lot of culture for young children, for example, 6, 7, 8 years old girls especially, they have to do a lot of work in the homes.
Yes.
And after school they have to go home, they have to clean up or to cook even.
Yeah.
So when they don't have space to play with other children, and it's every day, then we like to talk with the parents to give the children a little bit space
Yeah.
to develop themselves. And when the mother, because here in Southeast a lot of mothers are working the whole day, and
Yes.
sometimes the half of the night, they have a very hard life.
Yeah.
And we realize that, so we try to talk with the parents, what can we do for the children? Because when they go to school and
Yes.
after that they have to clean, to cook, to do all the housekeeping things,
Yeah.
Yes.
then that's not life for a child.
Yeah, that's true.
So abuse, I think, is a big word,
So there you go.
but neglecting, it's not the purpose of the parents, of
Yeah.
course. But then we try to talk with the parents, how can we arrange it? Is there not a mother of a neighbor or a grandmother who can take care of the children then?
Okay. Okay, there's a question coming up.
Yeah. When you made mention of these mothers or these parents working very late because they have bills to pay and they have to take care, and they are in a foreign land. Yes?
Yes.
Now you are taking the child away from them.
No.
If you come in, maybe you want to take the child because you feel the child is being neglected. Do you not consider it as a trauma to that parent that is already going through hassles? Is it not a difficult thing for them, to be dealing with the child agency that have taken maybe their child, and then with the job they are working every day and coming back very late? I mean, is that not a torment? Is it not a way of tormenting them more?
What you are telling is exactly the point what a lot of people think here that bureau zorg or are doing, or spirit are
Yeah,
doing.
why I'm saying this is
Yeah,
because
but it's
as a reverend minister, people are in our churches, and then you always hear, they took my child. So we want to be a voice to, that's why we invited you, to be able to know
maybe
what.
you can ask them what they mean to say they took my child. Because in the first place, it is not our job to take child from their parents. We like to help them, to tell them how to help.
To stay at home.
To stay at home, to
Yeah.
keep the child in the house.
Yes.
To do difference.
Yeah.
But it's not our intention to take their child away from
So
them.
they put the painting in the mind of so many out there. They paint it as if child protective agencies are like they are doing them harm instead of doing good. So
You know
it takes a developed mind to be able to know that, okay, these people are coming in to be a help to me.
maybe they feel it like that.
That's the way they feel. Many
it's
of them
not
feel that way.
our intention. And in the case of placer, a foster parent,
Yeah.
when they take the child from their own parents, it's not our intention to leave them there until they grow old, but to help them for a while, for the period that the child are not in their own parents' home. We will help them. Even if the parents are not there, we will talk to them and help them to visit the child in our office. So they explain it very wrong to make it like it's our job to take their child away. No, it's not our intention.
But it feels like, I know it, because we give a lot of courses in the education in the two cultures, and we heard from the people exactly what you are telling.
Yes.
They take my children away, and
Yeah.
my kids, and what they are doing, and don't go to Bureau Jeugdzorg, don't go to the youth.
Yeah, I'm feeling
care.
very bad. I'm feeling very bad,
Yeah.
and I'm taking
Yeah.
medicine.
Yeah.
Then I'm take my child away. So you hear those things all the time. Then you begin to wonder, who are these child protective agencies?
We just spoke about putting the child with foster parents. That is the child now is living with another parent, not the original parents. So the
Yes.
child has been taken away. So it's the fact that children are taken away.
It is a part of
the
the
whole thing.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we're trying to understand better.
No,
When does it?
yeah.
How do things get to that level? And because of course, the child's interest is what everybody's trying to protect. And if the child is going to be damaged by it being in the environment he or she is, there's no point leaving the child in that place. So it's better to keep the child in a safe place. So we understand that. So it has to paint a clearer picture of how things progress to that level and why it's become necessary to do that. Then people know better, so nobody can feel bad.
Yes.
When they hear the story here or there that somebody, Bureau Jeugdzorg or Kinder Raad van Kinderbescherming,
He took my child.
You know, all these things are not clear. We want to understand better. That is why we are talking now.
Yes, and you have the opportunity to clarify yourself because you are reaching to thousands of people right now, even though they are not calling in.
I think we have the same opinion, because we think, all the organizations now, we think that the children are, the best place is their parents, in their homes. If it is not possible for several reasons, then it's in their own network. So the grandparents, like here in Southeast, a lot of 80% of our foster care is in the network, their own network. An aunt, an uncle, a grandmother, a friend, a neighbor.
Wow,
And
that's
only 20% here in Southeast is strange foster care.
I see.
And there is always a very several reasons why the children are not staying at home.
Yes.
So all the people who are telling they take my children away, it's not true. So really, it's not true. Yeah, because the situation for the children is not safe.
Yes.
And that's the only reason, because you have to go to the judge, and they are telling you for several times you can't raise your children, but you can visit them, and then in the meantime, you know, when your children are in another place, in the meantime, our social workers are working with their own parents to give them chills to take the children back. And then they have a good education. That's our purpose.
Powerful.
To stick together like a family. Because
Yes.
that's the only, the best thing you can do.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that is good. So that is better. But there's a program we did some time ago where a man told us how he was separated from his wife and his children because they accused him of abuse and things like that.
Sexual abuse.
Yeah, which he said wasn't true. So for 10 years, they kept him from the children. He never saw his daughters until today. He has some pain in his heart about that because they made everything seem like he was a bad man. Meanwhile, he wasn't so. He was the breadwinner. He was the one bringing all the money home and everything. But they didn't. So he has this. From what we know, he has this resentment against the governmental apparatus which handles these cases about children.
It's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
I hear it too. I have a family, but that's the other way around. A child tells us that she was sexually abused by an uncle who came all the time in the home.
Yes.
So we talked with the mother and we asked her to don't let him in.
Yes.
She couldn't. So, but the child keeps up, yeah, he's abusing me, and And then, well, of course, the child ran away because she was 40 years old. She ran away from home. Then she comes to us, to a crisis center.
Yes.
Later on, the people who are working there, they ask her because it doesn't feel good. And then afterwards, it seems that she was telling a story. It wasn't true.
Oh.
You know why? Because in their home it was too. She has to be home at 6 o'clock. She couldn't play with the friends. Well, it was too heavy there. And all her friends, they can go to the movie, they can do this. So she invented a situation that she knows. They put me out of my home. They take me away because I can't stay here. There was a very, very big story because it doesn't happen too much, but sometimes it happens and that says something about the situation at home, of course, because a child, when she says something like that, what isn't true, it means something that is not safe in the house, but it's not sexual abuse. Sometimes they lies about it.
Yes, yes, you want to say something?
But I have another example.
Yes.
In tegenstelling, hoe zeg je het?
Contrast.
In contradiction of Lisbeth, her story, I know a child of 14 years old, and she told us the same story, but it was her father who abused her. And in the beginning, I couldn't believe it because I saw the man and I thought, no, maybe it's not possible. So I went to her sister to ask about their lifestyle, and after all, it was the sister who had the same experience with the father. And so we investigate everything. And now she's not living again with the father, but they have contact, they call each other, but it was true. And the man is very sad about what happened, and he told us he was drinking a lot, so it was not his intention to do this with the child, but he was drinking, and it happens sometimes, but not always.
Okay, so those circumstances now force you, in the interest of the child, to relocate the child to foster parents. Otherwise, the child gets emotionally damaged and scarred for life. That makes sense. Well, if you're listening to this program and you have a question or remark for our guests, Elizabeth and Ria, give us a call on 020-737-1619. If you have somebody or you know somebody who has a difficulty with children, or the children have been taken away, or whatever, and you would like to clarify, or you have a question, give us the call on the studio line 020-737-1619. Just to give us an idea of what do you think are some of the emotional and physical damage, mental damage which can happen to a child because of abuse in the home?
Question for you.
Yeah, go ahead and answer the question. Yeah, just hold on. I call her 1 second. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, hold on. Let's take the caller. Yes, hello. Good morning, sir. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And we are happy to train them. But in Holland, if you want to discipline a child, they just go to the police and call police for you.
If you want to give what to a child?
Discipline.
Discipline. Oh.
The right way to educate the child, then the child will go and call police.
Yeah.
So I want to know why is this so?
The question, okay, I'll repeat the question to that. When he says that it is normal, it's expected that people raise their children well, and then so that their children also can live well and raise other children well. But here in Holland, when you try to discipline a child, the child will run off to the police and report this as abuse. So what do you have to say about that?
And then you will be involved. So they want to know what you have to
Because
say.
the children, they know that that is forbidden in Holland, so they go to the police, and it's not once, because several times it happens.
So
it's often.
So you mean like if you scold a child, is that abuse? Is that enough for Can a child report that to the police as well, or is it only when you hit physically?
No, the child can go and tell the police, make report to the police, but it doesn't mean that we will believe everything
The child is saying.
No,
Okay.
it means that their story it don't have to be true. That's why we like to investigate and ask and organize meetings before we handle. For an example, take them out or bring the parents involved. We have to know exactly what the problem is.
But in the first place, it's correct what the gentleman said.
Yeah.
When a child for 14 or 15 years old go to the police and they tell them, I don't like to go home because they beat me up and I have pain here, pain there.
Yeah.
Then the police said, well, we try to talk with your parents. That's the first thing they do. But when it doesn't succeed, then for that night, they look a place, a crisis place. So we have that. And then the next day, you know, to calm down everybody and the parents and the child. And then the next day, we're going to talk with the parents, what's happening here and with the child. When the child still said, no, I don't want to go home because it's every time the same thing. My father disciplined me too much, it's hurt me too much. Well, then we try to investigate, and after that we try to talk with the parents to have a better situation at home.
Yeah.
And not to, of course, to discipline, because I think that's a good thing for all the children. But the way how you do it, that's the thing.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, how often do you get complaints and calls dealing with children in this situation? Is that a lot? Or?
A lot.
What do you mean by a lot? Numbers?
Who calls? Is it the children?
80% of all the we have.
So have you bothered to find out what's really causing this rift, this split between the children and their parents, and the children having to make these reports about their home?
There's a lot. That's I think a big part. But the other big part is also that.
Yes. Like it
Okay.
too.
Where the child is abusing the parents.
Yes.
What's supposed to happen? Where's the parent supposed to go lodge a complaint?
Thank you so much for that
When a
question.
child is
Thank
abusing
you,
the
Alhaji.
parents, when a child is abusing the parents, in what kind of way? In what kind of way?
By being rude.
Maybe by abusively, verbally abusing the parents, and maybe not being obedient. And being stubborn and rebellious.
Yes.
We don't call that abuse.
You don't call that abuse.
Yeah. When you
No, but it's a provocation.
When you are not obedient to your parents, we call that rude, or you have to. Every child in the whole world have to listen to the parents. That's not a difference in culture, but we don't call it abuse.
Yeah, the point. I think the point here is that is provocation. That's provocation.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes kids are influenced by friends and peers and to do the wrong things.
Of course.
And that's
Yes.
why sometimes a parent wants to be firm
Yes.
to put the child right.
So what
But-
we learn the parents then is to, you know, when a child do something good,
Yeah.
reward them. And when they do something bad, punish them. But the way of punishing, that's because, you know, sometimes you can say to your child when she's obedient, you have to stay home today. You don't go out tonight. It's because you are rude, or you don't listen to me.
Yes.
Things like, or go to your room, or clean the dishes because you are not nice today. Things like that.
But,
Yes.
but to answer the question of the beller,
Yeah.
in a situation that they call it parents abuse, I do not call it like that, because you need to be strong. I know a situation that a mother went to Bureau Jeugdzorg to tell them what goes wrong with the child. And in that situation, Bureau Jeugdzorg talked to the mother, she went to the doctor, and after that it was necessary to make a scan
Of the brain of the
of
child.
the brain of the child. So in that case, maybe there is something wrong with the child.
Yeah,
Mentally, why she behave like that, you know. But I cannot call it parent abuse, because you have to be strong like a parent.
But it exists though. It's another example. Because
So-
I knew a case of a 15 years old boy who was really beating up his mother.
Yes.
And the mother asked us, please take my child away because
Yes.
the next day we will kill each other because I can't stand it anymore. And then I hit back. And then, then the situation is too bad. So for a certain time we have to take the child on her demands. Put him elder. And then we try to, to talk with both separately and then together, that he can go home again.
I think.
But it exists, of course.
Yes. Sometimes children abuse their parents.
Yeah.
You see, there was a case of this family in our ministry, and then they are used to providing everything for their kids. But the bigger child, about 15 years, began to mingle with other girls, and she wants everything. She wants iPhone, she wants BlackBerry, she wants this, she wants that. And the parents could not afford that. So she began to be very rude. Verbally, she began to molest, abuse her parents verbally, calling them all manner of names. And then when we tried to intervene to cancel them, it wasn't enough. She would just be calm for maybe 2 weeks in the church. She's too calm for 2 weeks, and after that, you see, she's so brutal, she's so rude. And then when she thinks, she began to look for a way to hurt the parents. The next thing she did, she said she was going to get a man to come and sleep in the maternal bed, in the bed of her father and her mother. She made sure she did that. She made sure she did that she has to bring her boyfriend to come and sleep with her in the bed of her mother and her father. To have sexual intercourse there. So what do you call that? It's abuse.
Of course it is abuse. Sure. Of course, it's terrible.
Okay, hello, caller.
Yeah.
In fact, the two ladies are doing very well, but we are talking about equal rights and justice here.
Talking about what?
We are talking about equal rights and justice.
Equal rights and justice, okay.
Yeah. Somebody just called and asked if the children commit something to their parents
Where must the parents go?
Yes.
Asking which type of commitment they are talking about. But what about if the children do something to their parents? What type of commitment the children do before they go and
Yes.
The parents can also come to us.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody asked what will happen before the parents will go to the police. They were asking which type of abuse. But whenever the children want to go to the police, what type of commitment the parents will do before the children go to the police? So that by the ask your parents here.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I understood the point. Okay, go ahead.
It is a point. I think the parents can come to us
Also, at any time.
also, of course, when there is a child till 23, the parents can come to us with the problems about the education of the child because it's an issue of education.
Yes.
And then we can try to talk with the parents how to handle this problem.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of courses for education and how to treat a child like this. And sometimes we have to make a research, psychology research, because sometimes the children are LVB, they have a little psychological handicap, and then we have to treat them in another way, or parents have to treat the children in another way than a normal
child.
Wow. Sometimes you don't recognize it.
Well, I can imagine this topic is deep and has diverse aspects. I don't think we have enough time to finish it today. But okay, let me give you just a minute each to say anything you want to say to our listeners and for parents out there who are concerned about the behavior of their children. Some parents may be enduring certain things because they don't want to get out of hand. What do you want to say to them to encourage them regarding their children so that things can go better in the way they are handling or raising their children?
I like to tell them, don't be afraid, come to organizations like us. We don't take your children away if you don't want it. So we can help you, and that's the most important thing, is that families stick together. And the children are in their homes or in their network. That's what our purpose is. So we try to help everybody, and come to us and put a question. And not too late, please, because then sometimes the problems are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you have a question on the education area, ask it. Come.
Okay.
And
Ria,
sometimes,
you want to say something?
yes, sometimes you see that the parents, they go to their own church and try to find counseling, and
Yes.
it's a very, very good thing.
Yes.
But apart from that, it's not too much to go to jeugdzorg and to ask for help.
Yeah.
And together you can be strong.
And that's important to make clear, because if we have a different notion about what jeugdzorg does, then we might not want to come because we think they are bad people, they are against us.
Yeah,
Yes.
But we need to
exactly.
understand that they are there to help, to
Yes.
support us raise our children.
You see?
And that point ought to be made clearly.
And often we ask the church to help us also.
But you have to
Okay.
not call
We do
us.
it.
We are church. I'm a reverend minister. You invite me.
We
Yes.
talk because the church can do a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know,
In the
I'm
own
sure.
community. So we work together.
Yes.
Okay. Well, ladies, thank you so much. Miss Ria Braff, thank you for coming. And I like your smile, smiling good. And Elizabeth, let me see.
That's okay.
Van der Meer.
Elizabeth, yes. You have another name as well. Thank you for coming. I appreciate your sacrifice. God bless you. And I hope you come back soon, because I think we'll love to continue this topic. Thank you. Have a good day.